Welcome to the Nightcap on May 3rd, 2024. With me tonight is Gerald Glassford, and Sean, the Magic Man. He knows his price, Grice. Yes, I just said that. I was coaxed into doing a nightcap tonight by this guy.
No, that was the crowd and Sean and
oh,
Henry.
Can you let me finish?
All right.
And the crowd demanded it. What you demand, I execute. Even on a Saturday night where I've already had a few of these.
It's Friday night.
See what I'm saying?
It's Friday night. It's not Saturday yet. Well, it's Saturday for me.
Sorry, I was saying Saturday on this phone call that I just hung up on at least maybe 40 or 50 times.
It's okay. It's okay. You can get away with misspeaking on here. It's not like anybody in the audience really listens to us.
Well, there's a professionalism that we have to have here, and I don't want to lose
Correct.
that. But today, for those of you who weren't on the immediate broadcast after Darvin Ham's dismissal, we are going to go into more detail on that, as well as kind of what the options are going to be here the rest of the way. There's a lot of options, and there's some options that might have closed already. So again, Darvin Ham, for those of you who are just chiming in, has been dismissed by the LA Lakers as the head coach of the LA Lakers. And now the Lakers are going to, and also the entire assistant staff is gone, including Phil Handy. However, word is, and I don't know if I believe this, being the cynic I am with the way the Lakers run an operation, they said they did it so that he has a chance to get a head coaching job.
Oh,
you guys believe that?
Baloney.
Right? Like the first time I heard that, I was like, what?
So, Joe, okay, let me say this. We're working at let's say any kind of store, whatever kind of store you are. I'm the manager. You're the assistant manager. I get fired. I get the axe. So they're going to fire you so they can consider you for the promotion for my old job. Is that what you're saying?
Look.
How much sense does that make?
The Lakers are full of doo-doo. And they've been full of doo-doo for a while. At least the Genie and Rob have been. And whoever's working in and around their circles. You don't fire a guy to give him a better chance to get a head coaching job. And with all due respect to Phil Handy, I think he's a really, 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 really good player development coach. I think he's very likable. I think he's got a good connection with players. He's good communications. He's honest. He's the old school guy. But coaching an NBA team is a completely different world, galaxy. Just because you're good at that stuff doesn't mean that you can coach an NBA team for 82 games plus a playoff run year in and year out. It is one of the more difficult, probably the most difficult jobs in sports I'd say from the four major sports, because of the value of the player on the court. And that value is so important. That player that's great or really good takes precedent no matter how good the coach is and no matter how much of a diva that player is, right? Because you can't replace LeBron James. You can't replace Anthony Davis. You can replace any coach no matter how great they are. If Victor Wembanyama walked into R.G. Buford's office and said, I want Popovich out, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think he's going to Pat Riley? Hell no. Even Pat Riley wouldn't do that right now. Even Pat Riley, believe it or not. Now, I guess Pat Riley could trade Wembanyama for the next 20 first-round picks from, a team. But the point is, players dominate the NBA no matter who they are. And it's not just this era. It's always been that way, just because of their importance to winning and the importance to this right here. So Phil Handy has been let go, as well as everyone else. You guys know how I feel about assistant coaches anyways. I don't really care about that. I really don't.
Well, I know Phil Handy was very much beloved by our audience.
That's fine. He was good. But it's not going to change anything. The Lakers need a head coach, and they need a head coach with his own people. You don't hire a GM and then not expect him to want to hire his own coach. Same situation with the coach. You hire a coach, and then you let him pick his staff. You're setting the team up the right way that way. He's going to feel comfortable with whomever he picks. That's how it works.
The only guy who survived was LeBron's guy, Mike Mancias. He's the only one that they didn't fire. They can't fire Mike.
So it looks like LeBron is not going anywhere. That's the first sign. Good job, Sean. You just solidified that LeBron's not going anywhere.
Was that ever
there you
in
go.
doubt?
See,
was
guys?
that ever really in doubt?
It's May 3rd. No, but hold on. You're right. It wasn't in doubt, but Sean just clinched it. Because there's always a chance, right? But he just clinched it. They didn't let go of the one guy that they had, and he happens to be a LeBron guy, which means LeBron's coming back. So we can discuss that. LeBron is coming back. For how much, we don't know. Doesn't really matter. We're not going to be paying him, and we're going to just have to deal with it. But right now, the Lakers have some candidates here. And Gerald, I'm going to name them off, and I want you to start giving us, before you head out to watch the Golden Knights play, I want you to let me know what direction these guys are going to go with. So they have, at the moment, Budenholzer, they have Atkinson, they have a dark horse in J.J. Redick, and then they also have I don't know, we're probably fantasizing about Ty Lue, but it's sounding like there's reports out there that he's not going to leave the Clippers.
Conveniently, we had the show this morning when, with Darvin Ham being fired, we automatically put Ty Lue on the list because that's who they put on the list. Conveniently, Joe, before I went on the air for my 2:00 show, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that Steve Ballmer has really clamped down on trying to get an extension. I think he has right now till 25-26. I think it's his contract runs through right now. So they're already working on an extension. How convenient, Joe, that is. So I think we can pretty much forget Ty Lue. I think we all need to just step out of Ty Lue. There's no way the Clippers are going to. In fact, Ty Lue should send flowers to the Lakers organization because they just upped his price and given him extra years by what took place today. So there's no way that they're going to let him go. So they're going to go ahead and make it real nice and happy for him. So that being the case, JJ Redick, if LeBron really wants JJ Redick, he'll get JJ Redick in there. But man, you're dealing with another first timer, and that's so hit and miss. It is so hit and miss. I mean, there are success stories for first time coaches, Joe. You know this. We know this. But there's also a lot of non-success stories for first-time head coaches, no matter how good a player or not good a player that they were in the league, Joe. So I would focus in on established choices. And there you go. There he is in the darkness. All right, Henry. There you go. But yeah, my choice would probably be right now Kenny Atkinson, because I don't want Budenholzer. Budenholzer is more of the same of what you saw with Darvin Ham, Joe.
So that we're going to go into each coaching option here, and then we're going to probably pick who we think would be best. Sean, Kenny Atkinson, Mike Budenholzer, J.J. Redick right now are the three that are not going to be blocked by their current positions, right? One is not employed. The other is an assistant coach, at least was an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors. And then J.J. Redick has created a celebrity behind his marketing. And it feels much like the Luke Walton celebrity, maybe a little bit more because he's more in the media. But that's a dangerous thing to get mesmerized by. And the Lakers seem to have a habit of being drugged into the central casting of a look and a hope. The Lakers need to do one of two things. Number one, they need to sit down LeBron and AD and go, we need to get the coach that you're going to listen to. And that includes listening to who's going to call you out on your stuff. Who are you more apt to listen to in that manner out of the candidates out there? And then if he says, yes, this, yes, that, whatever, then you do an extensive search, extensive analyzation with those interviews. And then you come back to LeBron and AD and go, all right, guys, I don't think this guy's going to be able to run the offenses or adapt or think on the fly the right way. We're going to need to go another route, or you guys are going to have to listen to who we think can do that. Can you do it for that guy? This is going to be a collaborative decision, and it includes the players. This cannot be separate. Otherwise, we're going to run into the same damn problem. And I saw a stat today that wasn't good. Again, you guys, there's the LeBron people out there that have their comments hidden after we say something about LeBron that isn't too nice. Folks, for those of you who have your damn thing censored, I'm not making it censored, guys. It's the freaking YouTube people. I would let you say whatever you want, minus the N-bombs and racial garbage, okay? Everything else, you want to call me a piece of garbage, all that, I don't care. It does nothing to me.
But the
It means nothing.
Cancun chant after,
But
yeah.
Right. However, now I want you guys to suck on this a little. 8 coaches have been fired under LeBron's watch. Now, what is the old saying? George W. Bush? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You can't keep fooling people. Right? Is that how you say it, Sean?
There's a saying from Tennessee. I think it's from Tennessee.
You
didn't even know where it was from.
Our former president.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, if you don't see that that's a pattern, is that Sean Grice's fault? Is that Henry Hill's fault? If we say something about it, is that Gerald's fault? Guys, 8 coaches. The guys played 21 seasons. 8 coaches? That's basically every other year LeBron is getting rid of a coach, or is a part of a setup where he's getting rid of coaches, or he's a part of it. Now, here's the one that didn't make it. Your guy, Sean, Eric Spoelstra. And why didn't Eric get fired? Because the Godfather's in charge over there. Otherwise, he would have got fired too. It would have been 9. 9 out of 9. Just saying, guys, LeBron needs to, if he wants to sit at MJ's table, and I got some kickback on that earlier today too. Hey, he's not ahead of Kobe. Hey, he's never going to be at next to MJ's table. Okay, that's you guys' opinion. I'm not going to argue against that. But in my view, you score 40,000 points. You have 10,000 plus rebounds, 10,000 plus assists. You play for 23 seasons, which word is coming out now that he's going to play 2 more years. And he's playing the way he's playing, guys, and he wins one more title. He wins multiple titles as a Laker. Wins probably likely his 5th finals MVP. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to have to at least have the argument that the guy's sitting next to Jordan. So with that, the importance of the next decision. This is the last decision LeBron's going to have to be a part of when it comes to the leadership of this team. You call this one right, LeBron, and the LeBron team and AD, you're going to have a better shot at winning a title before you retire. Sean, go ahead and tell me what you wanted to say.
Are you sure? Because I'm counting Paul Silas, Mike Brown, David Blatt, Ty Lue, Eric Spoelstra, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Only one of those guys made it. Only one.
Now, Ty Lue's doesn't necessarily count because he was fired after LeBron left.
Well, what's interesting there is that you have 2 coaches from 2 separate organizations who went to an NBA Finals with LeBron and got fired. David Blatt and Vogel.
Cheers, Xbox. Here's to you in Australia and all my down under crew.
We're going through the list of retreads from 10 years ago.
Oh, what you drinking, by the way? Juan's asking what you guys are drinking.
I'm drinking Honey Jack and Topo Chico.
Honey Jack is the shit.
I'm about to get a Corona after I get my In-N-Out in 2 minutes.
But I mean, Gerald, we're going to interview at least 4 of the 5 coaches and the 4 lead assistants that Budenholzer had in Atlanta. He was the head coach. Quinn Snyder was his lead assistant. He's been linked to the job, even though he signed an extension with Atlanta. Terry Stotts has been linked to the job. Darvin Ham was just fired. Kenny Atkinson. Like this is a bunch of guys from 10 years ago that we're talking about at bringing them on. I mean, Kenny Atkinson at least has moved around a little bit. He's had some head coaching experience, Gerald. He was with the Knicks. He's been with the Clippers. He's been with the Warriors. So he has an extensive resume. And he can run a lot of different systems offensively, specifically hybrids. He was able to play with a couple of big, really slow-footed bigs and Jarrett Allen and DeAndre Jordan, and he managed to make Brooklyn a really good offensive team. Basically was able to do the same thing with, oh God, here's a name that's a blast from the past, Festus Ezeli and Draymond Green. He somehow made Festus Ezeli a competent big offensively. Those Knicks teams, in 09, 010 were just ugh. That being said, he's probably the best out of the bunch because there's no way in hell Terry Stotts is coming here. There's no way in hell Mike Budenholzer is coming here. You can save it. You can save the trip, like save the frequent air miles for when you visit Tanzania or Australia when you go on a trip with your family, because ain't no way your LA's gonna hire Bud.
I'll be on in 5 minutes, boys. I'm about to get home.
You got it.
And
Go eat those fries before they go bad.
Yeah, they get cold after 2 minutes.
Yes.
I know, man. As I'm zooming home, I'm gonna open up a Corona, eat my In-N-Out with you guys. Like I said, today is a celebratory day. We can go as long as you guys want.
Okay. Well,
Unfortunately, I have company. I will be out within the next 43 minutes, 42 minutes.
Okay, we're
if you
good.
guys want to continue, you're more than welcome to continue the Nightcap. Again, you are watching the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap with Joe Soro, Sean Grice, and Gerald Glassford. Gerald will soon be leaving to watch the Golden Knights.
Well, they're up by 1. They just scored.
There's really only one young, bright, innovative assistant that you could hire right now. His name is, I can't believe I'm going to say it.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. Because I hated that guy when he coached Portland and when he coached Sacramento. And that's Rick Adelman's son, David Adelman. He's the only assistant, Gerald, with experience being a lead assistant and running an offense. I would pick him over Kenny Atkinson. I really would, because he's been the one who's been in Mike Malone's ear and Jokic's ear, running game plans for how to beat the Lakers and Anthony Davis's defense. He's the architect of that offense, not Michael Malone. If Michael Malone was such a great offensive coach, why couldn't he do with Boogie what he did with Nikola Jokic? Couldn't even get that team to the playoffs. And don't mean you, Gerald or Joe or anybody else, but casuals or even veteran hoop heads can't sit there and tell me, well, Michael Malone's just overall just a strategic offensive mind. No, Adelman is, not Malone.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because no one's heard David Adelman yet. Not a lot of people, although some have heard of.
If you know basketball, you know him. If you don't, then It'd be like,
There are two names that have not been brought up really.
oh, don't do Fizdale, please.
No,
Don't do
no,
Fizdale.
man, come on. What are you?
They're already
nuts?
suggesting in the chat.
No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about real stuff here. I don't do that stuff. You should know that better than anybody. David Adelman. Why? Because look where he is. The other is Charles Lee in Boston. I mentioned this in the last show, and I think the show before that. The Lakers went after Bill Sharman and Casey Jones back in the early 70s to finally get over the hump. It's not a foreign thing to go get somebody from a rival and say, hey, can you help us win? So Charles Lee, would he command the respect of LeBron James and Anthony Davis? Would David Adelman? What those guys would have to do is they would have to implement a system, a culture, and a philosophy that enhances everyone. That's really ultimately what made Phil Jackson so good. That's why Michael Jordan loved Phil Jackson, and Kobe, at least the second half of their stint, loved Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, what Kobe didn't understand at the beginning because of his immaturity, he didn't understand that Phil Jackson took care of a lot of the nonsense that players don't have to deal with. He loved he loved Derek Fisher for that too, as far as a teammate. But the Lakers team during the three-peat era, you had the modern day. I know it's kind of weird saying modern day Jordan when Jordan was still playing, but you had the modern day best Jordan clone, and then you had the modern day Wilt Chamberlain on the same team in their prime. They were going to win. There was just nothing you could stop it, right? But the command of the respect will be a key factor in making this decision. And if I'm sitting there with LeBron and AD, and you're going through this carousel of candidates, and you're saying, okay, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this good? Is this bad? And you're kind of chasing your tail at one point because maybe LeBron might not feel as comfortable or this or that. At some point, you got to kind of put your hands on the table and go, okay, what the hell do you want? What the hell do you want? We can't go after Mike Budenholzer. He's too much like Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham learned from him. We can't go after Kenny Atkinson because I don't know if he's going to command the respect that you want, or maybe be on the fly type coach where he can devise something quick when you need it.
He's the type of coach that you build a struggling team with, Joe, like Charlotte. If he goes to Charlotte, there's a good chance in about 2-3 years, Sean, they'll be like a 500 team or playing above their heads like you saw in Brooklyn. But if you give him a talented team, he may not be the type of coach that gets you over the hump, Joe. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does make sense. But at the same time, what did Steve Kerr do with no coaching experience that hit in Golden State?
It's a crapshoot when you talk
and
about.
Can we find them? Now, I know it's different with that team because Klay Thompson and Steph Curry don't get enough credit. And I don't think they ever will. They do not get enough credit for never, ever being infected by the whose team disease that Kobe and Shaq created in sports in general. They're the ones that started. No one talked about whose team it was when the Bulls were winning championships. Hakeem Olajuwon winning against Houston, obviously he was the one guy. There was no one to talk about there. No one said, is it Joe Dumars' team or Isaiah's team? No one said, is it Kareem's team or Magic's team? Like there was never that, or is it McHale or Bird or Parrish? Like no one talked like that until Shaq and Kobe played. And then since then, that's all you hear.
And a lot of it is about systems too. Certain guys come from systems. When Brad Stevens was hired by the Boston Celtics, everybody panned the move. Everybody. This guy's from Butler. He's from a Podunk Division I school, and you're going all the way to the big time in Boston. Well, Gerald, you know what? He brought that philosophy from Butler to the pros, and he turned the Boston Celtics from a 500 team into a contender. Gerald, Chris Finch was Nick Nurse's lead assistant for the Toronto Raptors. Brought Nurse's philosophy and a mixture of Chris's philosophy to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're 4 games away from a Western Conference final.
Good point. Absolutely.
So
I
a
by the
lot
way, I
of
was
it is
just go
a
ahead.
lo- yeah, no, I was gonna say a lot of it is about systems, Gerald. If you look back at the Denver Nuggets, Gerald, before 2019, 2020, they weren't a top 10 offense. They just weren't. There was a they were an okay half court offense because Jokic was starting to flourish, but they were miserable everywhere else. When they brought David Adelman on and Michael Malone made him the assistant, they finished in the top 10 for 3 years straight until they were number 1, I think, in 2022.
Mhm.
So a lot of it is about systems and sticking with a philosophy.
I just threw that
That's
out
what
there, by the way,
yeah.
for the audience on Paul George to the Lakers. I was just throwing it out there, seeing what people thought. And people have some hard feelings over how the Lakers got spurned last time. So I guess not.
It's
Yeah.
too bad too, because if Paul George had decided to come to LA, he'd be a multiple champion and he'd be the James Worthy of this era.
Wait. I have a question for you guys. You guys are talking about LeBron going through 8, 9 coaches, and I love Kobe to death, but he went through 10 coaches. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yep.
Good point.
Yep.
He went through 10 coaches. So it was Del Harris, and then
Was it fun?
It was Kurt Rambis, then Phil, then Rudy Tomjanovich. The thing is with Kobe is Kobe was not. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just counting up the names as you
Brown.
were talking.
Oh, sorry.
Brown.
So okay, I'll start from the top. Del Harris. Kobe was too young to control that scenario. Kurt Rambis, still too young to control that scenario. Then you had Phil Jackson from 1999, 2000 to 2004. He did have a say in that. Okay. Then you had Rudy Tomjanovich. Kobe got injured the last 20 games of that season, 2005. So, and Rudy Tomjanovich, and then, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank who replaced him. Phil Jackson's main guy.
Yeah,
remember?
it was Frank Hamlin.
Frank Hamlin there.
Frank Hamlin,
Okay.
yeah.
So Frank
Also-
Hamlin took
also
over
didn't
for Rudy.
have like health
Yeah.
issues.
These coaching changes were not predicated on Kobe's demand.
Some of it was his temperament.
Not at that time, except for Phil.
Yes,
If you
Phil.
want, if you want to say Mike Brown, sure. Mike D'Antoni, sure. But then at that point, after he tore his Achilles,
He was chill with Byron. He was chill.
Yeah,
I mean,
after the tearing of the Achilles, he was pretty much done.
but yeah, it's a fair point, Joe. He had his.
Bill Burtka. You also have to put Bill Burtka in there.
Bill
too.
Burtka, yeah.
Yeah,
Bill
Who
Burtka
did
was in there.
He replaced
One game.
one game, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
one
Del
game.
Harris,
Bickerstaff too.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bickerstaff.
Del Harris, Burtka, Rambis, Phil Jackson, Rudy Tomjanovich, Frank Hamlin. Do you count Phil Jackson twice or just once?
Once.
Twice. You have to.
Because he came
Well,
back.
I call it once that Kobe was 100% part of him leaving.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go back to 6 then. Mike
Again,
Brown.
context, guys. Context is important here. When
Bernie
I say
Bickerstaff is 8.
when we say that when
Yep.
LeBron had 8 coaches
Yep.
canned,
Mike Brown.
Mike, well, no, it's, yeah, because we're at 8. Mike D'Antoni is 9, and Byron Scott is 10.
Mhm.
And Luke Walton is
Luke
not.
Walton, but he was after.
Yeah, he was after. So Byron Scott was his last coach. So that's 10.
Mhm.
Semantics, I guess. We turned it into semantics at this point. Let's just say star players don't.
Well, we could also play context with LeBron too. Paul Silas was a glorified babysitter.
Mhm.
He's a glorified babysitter. He
And
wasn't
the Lou
really
firing
an
has nothing to do
adequate.
with LeBron.
He wasn't really an adequate head coach. Mike Brown couldn't really beat the Celtics to save his life. That's why he was let go. David Blatt was just a tyrant who was in over his head. And Gerald, although he basically, I think he has, Gerald, I'm pretty sure he has an over 70% winning percentage. Like that's the highest winning percentage of anybody who's ever been fired. I'm almost certain of that in less than 3 years. But
Well,
the
Randy Fund, let me go ahead and get the right date on that.
No, that was way before. That was the 92
before.
team.
David Blatt has a 6.67 win percentage.
Yeah,
6-7.
he won 50 games.
He did. I
He
think
was
they were. I
they
think
were
they were
110 in a row.
42 and 10.
Yeah, 42. I'm sorry, they won 10 in a row
Yeah.
at the time he was fired.
Yeah.
Was there ever information on what really happened with that whole situation?
LeBron didn't like playing with him.
Why?
Because he didn't incorporate LeBron into his coaching philosophy, and he just brought what he did in overseas.
Was he like that
into
guy
an
on
NBA
Winning Time?
locker room?
Sorry
What's
to
that?
cut you off. Was he like that coach on Winning Time? It was way before my time for Lakers. Like the system.
Oh,
the system,
Westhead?
the system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Westhead.
yeah.
Yeah, very similar. Yes.
You think he was really like Paul Westhead? Paul Westhead didn't have any value his rookie year?
Well, in fairness to Blatt, I believe he won championships previously overseas, so he was actually you could consider him a more decorated version of Westhead.
Sorry, Gerald, you got your dates wrong. Randy Fund only coached in 1992.
No, it's Randy Fund right here. 1992. Okay, I'm sorry. Was it? 1992.
I don't even think Gerald
Right.
said the year.
No, I did in the chat. That was my bad.
Oh, in the chat. Whatever.
92. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, tell him, Sean.
No, I made the mistake. I made the error.
I know, but I want Sean to hammer you with it. I'm just kidding.
The point is that that C word that Joe used, context. That's kind of important, especially given the fact that I understand the hesitancy and the trepidation that people have about possibly hiring somebody who has no head coaching experience, but you can't look at it all in a vacuum either. If you come from a strong system and you interview well and you like the person, then you need to commit. The Lakers, for better or worse, Gerald, at least they committed to seeing the Luke Walton thing through at least till the end of the first LeBron season. They let him finish it out and see what they had. And you know what? LeBron wasn't a Luke Walton fan. So, I mean, at least then they stuck with it. They actually stuck with a philosophy they were going to, and of course, it was me and Gerald talk about this all the time. It was a nepotistic philosophy because Luke Walton's a former Laker. But taking that aside, they brought in Darvin Ham, who had inexperience, and you know what? You could say he had some Laker lineage, but he was an assistant coach for one season. For one season.
Oh, Darvin's in the chat now, everyone. Henry, I want to get you in here before I head on out. Joe, you guys can go ahead and rip on Darvin Ham.
Darvin Ham.
Henry, you've got to be on this, man.
Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break.
I'm here, man.
And I'm gonna shift this over to the anti Darvin Ham fan club guy in Henry Hill. Henry Hill.
I'll be seeing you.
Darvin Ham is in the building.
In
Henry,
all the
tell Darvin Ham what you think about him.
Places.
Darvin Ham. What does Vince McMahon say? You're fired.
Now take that shit somewhere else. Oh man, that's funny.
It was a good game. It was a good day today, man. It was a good day. It was what needed to be done. I actually want to spin this around, and I had a question for you guys. What are the odds from 0 to 100 that Ty Lue gets the job?
0.
Really? Okay.
Because they just after we got on the air, Henry, you didn't see the
I saw
report
that.
from Woj.
I
Yeah.
saw it, yeah.
So if they're already, I mean, he could send. I said he's going to earlier. He's going to send flowers to the Lakers organization because they just got him a raise and an extension. Because I think he's to 25, 26.
The
Mhm.
the
I
key
think
the
that's his
key.
contract currently.
I'm sure it'll transpire. But the key phraseology in that report was the Clippers.
Mhm.
The Clippers want to sign Lou. There was nothing about Lou being mutual, and Gerald's doing the finger sign
Yeah,
for the
I was
money.
going to say what Sean is saying. Is there is no world that you guys see even a slimmer of chance? Tyloo says, "Look, I've done this. I don't know, 4 years now."
Remember, well, he's still got another year. Because no, actually 2 years. He's got
You know
2
what,
years left on
Henry?
his contract.
Anything's possible. I wouldn't. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, Gerald, that if his agent hears the numbers and goes back to the Lakers and says, "This is what Ballmer's offering Tyloo. This is
That's
what Ballmer's offering," and
would
if
love
you
to
match
see
it,
Genie's
he'll resign.
I would love to see Genie's face when we.
Yeah, I don't think she'd pay up.
No, I don't think so either.
Well,
So I'm
they'd
going to
have
still say
they'd
zero.
have to give the Clippers compensation too.
Yeah.
Not
That's
really.
not gonna-
Because no,
Lou-
because
Lou
he's under
would-
contract.
Lou would
Okay.
resign in that instance.
Well, but if he resigns, he's got to. Is there a no complete?
I'm sure there
compete
is.
clause?
I'm sure
Is
there
there?
is.
Okay.
You know what? There's only 30 jobs in the NBA. It wouldn't surprise me if that cocksucker put that clause in all of his Clipper employees. You bald cocksucker.
I know there's government legislation trying to remove no compete clauses here in the States, but I think something like that would be already grandfathered in as far as that. So I think he would not be allowed to automatically just quit and just go ahead and get a job somewhere else the next day.
Damn.
As far as a head coaching gig, I do not think that would be so easily.
Gerald, Bill Belichick once resigned from the New York Jets on a napkin.
How
and then
long ago
signed-
was that?
And that, well, I'm just saying, he resigned on a
recently,
napkin.
he did it too.
He didn't even submit an 8x10.
You guys
on
are
a
the football
napkin.
guys, Joe and Sean. Joe, who was the Bill Belichick's offensive coordinator that got hired by Indianapolis, I think, the Colts, and then
It's Josh
McDaniels.
McDaniels.
Daniels. Yeah.
And then he quit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
his
it's a
last
guess.
the last year of his deal is in 25-26. So he's got 2 seasons left on his contract. So you tell me, that would be a really hard to get out of. I think that the Clippers would ask and probably receive compensation for that in a second round draft pick or something like that. So it is 2 years, according to most reports out there. So
That's a good comparison, Jay. Darvin Ham was the Brandon Staley of
Yeah.
the NBA.
with that.
So I'd say 0, but I don't know. You guys think, what are the chances to finish Henry's question?
0,
Yeah,
because they're not going to let him go.
yeah.
There's no point. Who are they going to get that's better?
No one would look at the options the Lakers are looking at.
The reason why the Clippers weren't able to do anything this year is because Kawhi just couldn't stay healthy, which
That's every year.
the NBA, the Mr. Fester, Mr. Uncle Fester is going to have to figure out whether this is going to be a continuous thing or he's got to change this around, especially going into the new arena.
And
Inglewood.
Junior on Facebook, you can't get Frank Vogel. I know that's his name has been brought up all day too. He has what, Sean, 3 or 4 years on his contract.
As John Sacramone would say, that ship has sailed.
Yeah. First of all, let's think of the semantics. He has 3 years, let's say, on his Phoenix contract. So you're not going to walk away from that unless you get terminated. If he gets fired, which he may still get fired, but that's Matt Ishbia just throwing money around like candy. Still, I don't think he's learned his lesson yet. So it's a possibility. Even if that's the case, if you were fired by the Lakers, Sean, and you really were given the raw deal throughout your entire tenure, would you really want to go back?
No.
No. They
No,
did me
why would
dirty.
he?
They
Why
did. We
would
said
he?
it on the show. They did him dirty.
This is a completely different team, too, guys. This is not a defensive stalwart constructed team. So you'd actually be doing a disservice to Frank Vogel. His team with KCP, Caruso, Kuzma, a younger AD was a big part of why his system was able to really, really work in 2020 and even to some degree 2021. There would be no point. I wouldn't mess with it.
I love Xbox because if it's anything relating to Aussie, he's sending it in there. Patty Mills, Andrew Gaze, Andrew Bogut. Yeah, it's anything. Gotta love you. God bless you, Xbox. We love you, man. Love you.
That's funny, man. Yeah, no, I don't think Frank Vogel's coming back. There's absolutely zero. I would say that's a -% chance. And he strives in like a setting where his team needs big centers. All we have is AD, or we don't have any backup center. Our backup center, Jackson Hayes, Gerald loves him. That's his guy.
Now you sound like Joe with your blatant lie like that. Yeah.
What'd you call me?
Called you a liar.
Yeah. That's what I
For
did.
what?
I did. Never mind.
Call me liar about what?
Nice kidding, man.
If we got to
I
spend
will-
the next 10 minutes explaining
Well,
to
and-
you what
well,
Henry just said,
I will
then that's bad.
slap you
Oh,
in the
okay.
nose.
I'm right
Okay,
here.
so
The nose is right here. It's pretty big. It's hard to not avoid it. So there it is.
So you're Ty Lue. You're Ty Lue, and you're gonna sign an extension for a team that your best season with them was your first season. In a truncated season, you finished 47-25. You made the Western Conference Finals. Since then, lost Western Conference semifinals, lost first round, missed playoffs, lost first round, missed playoffs. Yeah, so great. You're gonna take more money, but you're staring down being a pinata in the first round for the next 3 or 4 years, given your cap space, Gerald. And the fact is that Ishbia can't spend his way out of the second apron. Lacob can't spend his way out of the second apron. Neither can Ballmer. Neither can Ballmer, Gerald. Now they have more first round picks that they can entice teams with. But the fact of the matter is that they're very restricted on how they can spend money now. And in the 10 years since he's owned the Clippers, Gerald, have the Clippers made it to the NBA Finals yet, Gerald?
Not even close.
No.
Can I answer that one? No.
No. And in his tenure, lost Western Conference semis, lost first round, missed playoff, lost first round, lost semis, lost conference finals, missed playoffs 2 out of the last 4, lost in the first round the past 2 years. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of his 10 years as owner, the Clippers have been bounced in the first round. And you're Ty Lue, and you're looking at that situation. You're just gonna take the money and run. Enjoy the money, brother. Enjoy it, because you ain't sniffing a finals appearance.
Yes, they do need a big man, or at least one, if not two.
JaVale.
Not
Please.
JaVale. JaVale's, yeah. Can we skip the Dwight Howards and JaVale's? Can we just move on from
Please.
that? See, because it's no longer 2020. We do need more big men. Yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more, Jim. And
Yeah.
Xbox, Henry is a great guy and should be on here more often.
Yeah, your voice is great, Henry. Like I know you're kind of self-conscious about it. You shouldn't be, brother. I love.
I just for
great
work, man,
voice.
I go on a drive and I want to hear fresh thoughts, and I kind of already know what's coming if I've already talked about it. But these weekend stuff, today is a great day. Like I said, I'll do every show without today. Like
So
I'll do every show.
Xbox, yeah, just a quick drive-by with the Wolves and the Nuggets. Three things need to happen for the Wolves to be victorious. One, and Edwards needs to play at least incredibly in about 5 out of the 7 games. They could do with an average performance for a couple, but that's probably capped. Two is the Nuggets just don't have the front court depth that they had last year. They were able to rely on Jeff Green a lot to spell Jokic with the guard play out there. They don't have him anymore. So I think Naz Reid, unlike our big Jackson Hayes, can actually take advantage of their weak ass bench. I think if Naz Reid outplays the Nuggets bench, they're toast. And three, as Gerald said, and Henry, there's a combination of guard depth and front court depth that they could throw at Jokic and Murray that I don't think Denver can really game plan for 4 out of 7 times and think they're going to come out on top. You could throw McDaniels at Murray. You can throw I can't believe I'm saying this, Gerald, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker has turned himself into a pretty decent
Really been good for them.
NBA player. You throw him at him. You need to spell somebody. You still got Mike Conley. Oh boy, they've got like a flurry of depth. They can just throw at the Nuggets right now.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to be heading on out because I got some things to take care of. But Joe, I thought you guys are going to be drinking. Yeah, there you go. Getting the drinks on hand. All right, you guys celebrate, and I'll say a drink to everyone out there as well. But before I head it out, but
a toast.
Yes,
a toast.
Yes.
What are you going to jinx us with that water?
He's drinking water too.
Wait, Joe, I have a question. So if Anthony Edwards Wolves win this series, I know you had your little bit of doubts on him. Would you say that this is the series? He beats Denver?
Because if they beat Denver and they beat him in 6 with control, then there's a very good chance the Minnesota Timberwolves can go all the way and win it all.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. All right, guys, I'm going to head on out. If you stop by and do something this weekend, we'll see what we can do. But don't forget the Lakerholics tomorrow morning at 10. All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Later.
Have a good night, Gerald.
So back to the coaching carousel that is the LA Lakers. Those of you who have come in
more
late,
like a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Those of you who have come in late, Darvin Ham was dismissed today by the LA Lakers. We kind of knew this was happening because you started hearing weird things at post-game conferences, and you knew right away that this guy was a dead man walking, and he officially was dead as far as being the head coach of the Lakers. Today, the hard part now is going to be who will take over for the 7th time in the last 12 years to run the Lakers team again. And at this moment, we've discussed who we want. Looks like Ty Lue was the guy we wanted, but it doesn't look like he will be available. And then now the Lakers are going to have to do some really, 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 really good due diligence on what guy's going to be able to, in a game like against Denver, are we going to see the fundamentals being executed during those games? Because the one thing that I know I hardly ever saw with a Darvin Ham coach team was I hardly ever saw fundamental basketball with that guy. I saw YMCA gym basketball. And it only goes to show you how good the Lakers team was. The players were when the offense, the second half of the year was phenomenal, right? They were making threes left and right. They were pretty potent, right? But then when you look at the defensive rating on why they lost that last game, it's in the toilet. And this guy was supposed to be the defensive guy. And I don't know where that came from, by the way. He never showed me anything before he came to LA as a defensive guy.
If he was such a defensive stalwart and virtuoso as a coach, why the fuck didn't you tell Mike Budenholzer that your drop coverage was dick? For dick. He didn't do that. He was his lead assistant. And he watched his bro get fired.
So why do you think that is?
Oh well, it's not sabotage. That's not what happened. I just don't think he's
I
that
think
smart,
he's just
Joe.
clueless. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you're
he's not
not,
that
if you're
smart.
not, we see too many. We see too many questions in our head. Why this? Why that? Well, sometimes, guys, people are just dumb.
Yeah.
They just don't get it,
If you
or they're
don't
stubborn.
know, you
Which
don't know.
stubbornness is to me. I'm just throwing out soprano lines tonight. Well, stupidity would be a learning disorder, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so if you're stubborn, that's a dumb decision, right? You have to be correct to not be stubborn. You have to be correct. Otherwise it just doesn't work. The Lakers are in a weird position here because they're not necessarily going to be putting out a young up and coming team.
Well,
like
two perfect examples there, Joe. Greg Popovich is quoted as saying that 3-point shot is the worst shot on a basketball court, and he despises it. Yet he had to utilize it in his playbook because it was the only shot Bruce Brown could hit, and he implored. He basically beat it into his head. Manu Ginobili did not take threes, and you weren't going to tell Manu not to take a shot. I mean, Manu was just unreal. So he had to employ it into his offensive system. Nick Saban. Nick Saban, if it was up to him, Joe, he would play 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He would just run the ball 80 times a game. But he knew that he saw that the game was changing and with recruiting, and he brought in wide receiver after wide receiver and made sure that Alabama played a vertical game. So two guys who were kind of very, very stringent philosophically on their systems changed stubbornly because that's just the way the game is going. And we never saw that adjustment with him in 2 seasons. Never.
I think. No, I don't think. I know that just him speaking was
Yeah. I was the
the
same.
his retorts, his returns on questions
Yeah.
spilled out. Forget about if I didn't watch him coach one game, I'd be like, who is this guy? What do you mean?
Like cliche by the barrel full,
And it
right?
happened the second he was interviewed at Media Day when he started the job. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh no, not one of these again. So I'm gonna every one of us has been in a situation at the beginning where you hear something from someone and you kind of get that first like, but you let it go.
You shudder a little bit.
You do. You shudder. You let it go though because you just met them and you want to be positive and you don't want to think that way, right? But then what happens is a year later, 2 years later, whatever, it's still in your memory and you're like, man, I knew this mother, you know what? I knew it from the moment I met him. He had that telltale sign and I rolled with it because you can't go around and just negative your life all the time with everything. It's hard. Otherwise, you're just walking around jacking things up when you don't really need to. Because most of the stuff we get angry about, most of the stuff we notice and see, like it doesn't mean anything in the end. It's a waste of life. So Darvin Ham already had a negative the moment I heard him open his trap. And in the end, it's exactly who he was.
X-Fox, what are you drinking tonight? Is it absinthe? You're going off, man. You got to take the wormwood out of the absinthe.
Wormwood.
Oh, that's what makes it fun.
So now I want to get to a point where this is the last discussion about this guy. This is the day he's gone. We've been discussing him for a few weeks now, for almost a year, actually, really. And I'm done with Darvin Ham. I don't want to remember him being here. I just don't. I'm tired of that negativity. I want this damn organization to finally find someone, because again, this is a unique setup. This is not an up and coming team like Oklahoma City and Minnesota. This is a young team in spots with two vets. But LeBron's going to play a couple more years, guys. He's going to get 2 more years here at least. And he's going to obviously want a team that can compete. And some can argue that the reason why the Lakers aren't winning is because LeBron and AD are not going to work. And you might very well be right. However, I do believe if you have a healthy AD and LeBron, and if this damn roster can plug in a couple of those holes, you're going to get a chance to possibly get to a title. Might not be as high as it was a couple of years ago, but there's a chance. And but it's predicated on, at the beginning here, it's predicated on finally getting that right coach, which again, we haven't had the right coach since, I mean, from like a longevity standpoint. I mean, Frank Vogel was the right coach for the team that we had, but not for this team, obviously. We haven't had the right coaching decision since Phil. And they sort of still kind of screwed that up a little bit, you know? And Phil had a lot to do with that too. I'm not going to say he didn't have a fault to it. But it's just, I'm tired. I'm tired of having to go through a year and go, oh, man, we need a new coach. Oh, man, we need a new coach. Oh, this coach sucks. And I made a point on our last show that I didn't feel between Mike Brown and through Darvin Ham, Frank Vogel was the only coach that I watched where I never felt like he really cost the Lakers games. He might have made a bad adjustment here and there, but I never really felt in the 2 years he was coaching, 3 years, sorry.
He never made a monumental error.
I never felt like and I don't understand why I feel like I'm the only one that saw it. Like, why am I the only one that didn't notice it? I'm not talking about the Laker organization.
No, he was a professional. I think they just needed a scapegoat for that.
The Westbrook trade. Yeah, exactly, Henry. Exactly.
And because of that, because of their own ineptness, it like, really, you're compounding the problem with a worse problem so that you can look better. We're still watching the Lakers because we love the Lakers, even though you're a bunch of dummies. So what were you really worried about? Picketing outside the crypt?
Reputation.
Well, then don't hire Rambis and Mrs. Rambis and people that are your friends. Hire professionals. Hire people who know what they're doing.
These people are on Twitter, Instagram, and stuff more than you think, man. They read all that stuff.
I know they are, because they're children. They act like children. You think these adults don't act like children, and I'm not just saying it the Rob Pelinka and genies of the world. If you're around adults in general, you're around people in general. People don't ever come to your face and tell you things. They tell it behind your back, right? So I've had discussions numerous times with people. Oh, you know this and that, so and so. I'm like, did they say it to my face though? Who has the nuts to come say it to my face? Because no one has ever come and told me, Joe, you suck because of this. You know,
you can be dumb and be conceited. There's no definition of the word conceit that ascribes intelligence. You could be dumb and be conceited. They're conceited.
I think being conceited in general is dumb.
Yes.
What are you being conceited about? If you're wrong about something and you're upset about it,
you double down on your
you're
vanity.
an idiot. Okay, You're stupid. If somebody came to you and said, Joe, you were very hurtful for what you said, I go, okay, what did I say? Well, you called me an asshole. And that hurt my feelings. Shit. Well, what did you do? well, I did this, over here. I'm like, well, that's an asshole move. What? Why would I call someone an asshole for no reason? I'm not 12. I'm not 15 anymore. I'm a grown ass man. I'm not gonna call somebody out for no reason.
No, but I kind of like when Henry was saying, these people are on social media more than the average Laker fan or even
It's
whose
not
head
them, guys.
would give
It's
them
the
credit
people
for.
around them feeding them that.
Yeah. That one too. That's part of
Okay?
it.
That's what it. Hey, did you hear about what happened? Hey, did you hear
Yeah.
about what happened?
That's where leaks start coming from.
Everyone is a snitch. Everyone's a stool. Everyone is into people's business.
Like the whole, in this moment, what benefit do they have leaking that Ty Lue would be a good candidate for them if he was let go?
So someone leaking that knows they're going to get hits on that, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of these chumps, the McMenamins and the Wojs and the Shams, you notice that they've been wrong a lot lately. That's why I got on Shams, because he's been dead wrong for like a year now on stuff. I don't count this guy's signing over here. They just get that information 5
From
seconds
agents.
before everything goes out.
Yeah.
But it's the important information. They're getting fed. Sean, you said that they're getting fed. Treat them like agents. Treat them like mushrooms. Feed them shit and keep them in the dark.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Great line. That's
Yeah.
what they're doing to these guys.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. And I love mushrooms, by the way, so I'm not trying to diss on mushrooms.
Shiitake mushrooms are
But,
fantastic.
with a good steak and a nice,
Ooh.
merlot. Oh my God, it's great. But this
Sergeant Dingham was correct.
There's a renaissance, I believe, that's coming in the reporting, analyzing of sports. It's time. It's time to shift. And also the voting in these awards needs to be figured out now.
Yeah.
So as we ascend to hopefully a bigger forum, the heat, the heat and the fire right now need to start really, really building. And we're gonna have to understand there's gonna be a lot of schmuckies out there that are not gonna like what we're saying even more. And they're going to bring in all their PCBS and all that garbage. So we got to be able to understand that that's what's coming, and we got to be able to just ignore it and go through until we get certain things figured out the right way. If you're gonna start turning this into a tabloid business, then you need to be called out when you're wrong. Jack Haley was wrong on a Carlos Boozer. For those of you who don't know who Jack Haley is, God rest his soul. He was working as at that time Fox Sports West Laker reporter. He said that Carlos Boozer, this was the first time, not the last, when he was kind of
Over the hill.
Yeah.
He said Carlos Boozer's coming. He was wrong. Guess what? Boom.
Really?
You never saw Jack Haley again after that.
No way.
There's not enough of that going on these days. Now it's only in hip hop that continues that. Once a hip hop artist gets burned, boom, you never see him again.
Wow.
They've stayed true with that. But in sports, they've gotten really laxed. Why? Because they know that these mushrooms are going to kiss their ass and be their mouthpiece when they want them to be.
Access media.
Yeah.
Right? The TMZ types, right? So TMZ is there's a sewer. And then
that Harvey Levin swims in.
Yes, Harvey Levinson, him specifically. So he's not even the shit in the sewer. He is the parasite in the shit that's in the sewer.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's who that guy is. And he's made a living being that parasite. Right.
He really has.
Yes. And I have no respect for those people because they get into people's lives. They report on stuff that, the market says this. Yeah, okay.
I remember him being on the People's Court. That was a great theme song, by the way.
I haven't seen that.
Judge Wapner, here's to Judge Wapner, of course. That's who I grew up with. But I'm gonna end this before I head out here, guys. You're more than
Mr.
welcome
Joe
to stay on.
Soro
You
is
guys are more than.
suing
Go
Gerald
ahead, Sean.
Glassford.
Yeah.
Gerald
The
Glassford.
plaintiff, Joseph Soro, is
That would be
suing
funny. I think we can still do
suing
something like that.
defendant Gerald Glassford.
That would be hilarious.
But before I go out,
Da, da.
we've set the stage on the next setup here with the coaches.
We should move forward.
Yeah,
Let's move
we're going to
forward.
continue to monitor this. Obviously, there's going to be more reporting on what's going on here. I don't expect them to make a decision at any time. I would like them to make a decision before the draft because I do want the coach to be involved in the draft process. But if he's not, I get it too. I also get that. Maybe, hopefully, they can get that coach before free agency. Again, there's one thing that's going to be very important here. Whoever you pick, please let the damn coach, please, have a say in what the ingredients is for the team is coaching a little bit, please. And players like LeBron and AD, can you let the guy play a little with the recipe, please? And this needs to come out more and more. With that, thank you guys for being on. Sean, Henry, you guys want to stay on?
I'm good. I think we've talked about this ad nauseum
I'm
at this
good
point. Let's
too.
You're
move
good?
forward.
Okay. Thank you guys, everyone from Australia to the East Coast, to the West Coast, to the Mid Coast. Thanks for being here for the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap. We're going to have more nightcaps. I'm just not scheduling anything because my life is getting capped right now like never before. But until then, well, I should say until next time, I'll see you next time.